During the late 80s and early 90s, Steven Seagal, an Aikido black belt and B-movie arm snapper, appeared to be on the path to becoming a schlocky action hero alongside the likes of Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. His debut in the 1988 film Above the Law left a lasting impression, and his performance in 1992's Under Siege showcased solid action movie filmmaking. However, Seagal's career took a sharp turn for the worse. One of the first signs of trouble came in 1991 when Seagal hosted Saturday Night Live and delivered a disastrous performance. His lackluster comedic timing and awkward delivery left audiences unimpressed, and the episode is often remembered as one of the show's weakest moments. But it wasn't just his comedic misstep that tarnished Seagal's reputation. Allegations of martial arts fraud began to surface, with critics claiming that his Aikido skills were exaggerated or even fabricated. These accusations cast doubt on his credibility as a martial artist and raised questions about the authenticity of his on-screen action sequences. Even more damaging were the allegations of sexual abuse and physical assaults on his co-stars. Multiple women came forward with stories of inappropriate behavior and harassment, painting a disturbing picture of Seagal's treatment of those he worked with. These accusations further eroded his standing in the industry and damaged his public image. Seagal's attempts to revive his career only seemed to make matters worse. By cozying up to Russian President Vladimir Putin, he became embroiled in controversy and was accused of being a propaganda tool for the Russian government. His involvement in a SWAT team operation that resulted in the death of 100 chickens, allegedly in an attempt to save them, was met with ridicule and disbelief. To make matters worse, Seagal continued to churn out a string of laughably bad movies that often found their way into bargain bins alongside other forgettable action films. These low-budget productions lacked the quality and excitement of his earlier work, further cementing his reputation as a has-been rather than a respected action star. In light of these developments, it becomes clear that there is more to Steven Seagal's story than his on-screen persona. Behind the rise and fall of this once promising action star lies a trail of controversy, allegations, and poor career choices. While his early films may have shown promise, it is the real-life events and questionable decisions that have ultimately transformed Seagal into a punchline. Well then, come on in and join us today as we explore the fascinating tale of Steven Seagal's journey, from his rise to his downfall. But before we kick off, we kindly ask you to show your support by liking and subscribing. Also, don't forget to share with us in the comment section who you'd love to hear from next. Right from the beginning, he crafted his on-screen image around his fighting abilities, and anyone familiar with Steven Seagal knows he's not just pretending to know martial arts. He's actually skilled. TV Overmind mentions he holds a black belt in the relatively new style of Aikido. The issue? Aikido isn't highly regarded in the world of martial arts. According to Way of Martial Arts, it focuses more on mindfulness and passive defense rather than aggressive combat. It seems odd that a philosophy of harmony and selflessness would suit someone like Seagal, who portrays a tough guy persona. That's why most of his fight scenes involve him deflecting attacks from clueless opponents rather than launching offensive strikes. Aikido's reactive fighting style is mainly useful in self-defense situations, as highlighted by Way of Martial Arts. Aikido can be effective in a real fight, but only against untrained opponents. For years, many in the martial arts community have questioned Seagal's skills, especially during his rise to fame. An episode of Black Belt magazine from June 1992, the same year Under Siege was released according to IMDb, recounts how a group of skeptical karate and kickboxing masters attempted to set up a fight with Seagal to expose him as a fraud. Unfortunately, the fight never materialized. Steven Seagal's behavior on set doesn't just stop at acting violent or taking himself too seriously. It seems that his off-camera persona mirrors his on-screen one. For instance, Sean Connery once revealed on Jay Leno that Seagal broke his wrist while working as a fight coordinator on Never Say Never Again, a Bond film. Connery mentioned that even years later, the wrist was still technically broken, affecting his mobility. However, Seagal's clash with John Leguizamo was far from accidental. In an interview with AV Club, Leguizamo recounted how Seagal arrived on the set of the 1996 movie Executive Decision and declared, without irony, "I'm in command. What I say is law." Things took a turn for the worse when Leguizamo laughed, prompting Seagal to elbow him against a brick wall with Aikido, leaving him gasping for air on the ground, questioning why. According to The Observer, Seagal even threatened to physically harm Leguizamo if they crossed paths on the red carpet, after discovering that Leguizamo had poked fun at his physique in the graphic novel Ghetto Clown. Despite the threat, Leguizamo remains unfazed, noting that Seagal's presence on red carpets is likely scarce. He expressed disbelief at Seagal's transformation into a puts an egomaniacal diva. It's quite surprising, yet not entirely unexpected, to discover that Steven Seagal is actually a licensed police officer. You can witness his law enforcement adventures on Steven Seagal, Lawman. However, don't expect to see him rescuing cats from trees or issuing parking tickets on the show. In a promotional video for one episode, Seagal reveals that he and his team are preparing to apprehend a suspect named Jesus Sanchez Lavera, who is wanted for animal cruelty. Due to the nature of the situation, they decide to deploy SWAT for maximum safety, utilizing armored personnel carriers to breach the perimeter. If this seems like an excessive response, it's because it was. According to a lawsuit filed by the homeowner, Seagal's reckless and dangerous stunt was immediately followed by a platoon of fully equipped SWAT officers. Unfortunately, during the raid, more than 100 chickens, which were supposed to be rescued, were unintentionally killed, while the remaining animals scattered for safety. Tragically, the Lavera family's beloved puppy also lost its life in the incident. As a result, in addition to seeking $100,000 in damages, Lavera demanded that Seagal write a written apology to his children for the loss of their 11-month-old pet. During the 80s, the big screen was dominated by tough martial arts heroes who effortlessly defeated hordes of B-movie villains. Hollywood Insider describes this trend, highlighting iconic names like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. However, let's not forget about the likes of Jean-Claude Van Damme and Chuck Norris, who were not far behind in terms of popularity. In 1988, a new addition emerged among these formidable action stars, Steven Seagal. He not only starred but also co-wrote the crime thriller Above the Law, as stated on IMDb. The movie revolves around Nico Toscani, portrayed by Seagal, a former CIA operative who employs his martial arts skills to assist Chicago police in dismantling a heavily armed drug syndicate. Although Above the Law received a lukewarm 50% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 20 reviews, it remains one of Seagal's most renowned and well-regarded films. More importantly, it served as a successful launching pad for his career, establishing him as a rugged and serious actor to keep an eye on. Even Roger Ebert, a respected film critic, awarded the movie 3 stars and praised Seagal himself. Ebert acknowledged the industry buzz surrounding Seagal, stating that he deserved the recognition. He commended Seagal's strong and distinctive screen presence, noting his impressive and seemingly authentic fight sequences. Ebert also highlighted Seagal's versatility, mentioning his ability to portray both tender and intelligent characters, qualities often missing in actors like Charles Bronson and Sylvester Stallone. Seagal's entry into the 80s action scene brought a fresh and captivating energy, solidifying his status as a force to be reckoned with in the world of martial arts cinema. Steven Seagal's breakout film, Above the Law, catapulted him into the spotlight, which must have been thrilling for him. Unfortunately, this happened in 1988, a time when the action B-movie genre was losing its popularity. By the early 90s, when Seagal had established himself as a top action star, the craze was already fading, as the New York Times described. However, Seagal still had one ace up his sleeve, the star-studded Under Siege in 1992. In this film, Seagal portrays Casey Ryback, a Navy SEAL who ditches his chef's hat to foil the plans of William Stranix, played by Tommy Lee Jones, a bitter terrorist who takes control of the USS Missouri with the help of an insider, Commander Peter Krill, played by Gary Busey. The initial takeover goes smoothly until the villains realize that Ryback is stealthily eliminating their comrades one by one, leading up to an epic final showdown. As noted by Roger Ebert in his 3-star review, the movie follows the formula of The Die Hard Goes to Sea. Ebert initially approached the film with skepticism, but he was pleasantly surprised. He commended the cast, particularly praising the villains as superb, vile, and delightfully insane. As for Seagal, Ebert acknowledged his convincing portrayal of a cook and his impressive knife skills. Ultimately, Under Siege became Seagal's highest-rated movie, earning a well-deserved 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. With the writers working under time constraints to create culturally relevant content, the high volume of sketches per episode, and the unpredictable comedic skills of celebrity guest hosts, it's truly impressive that Saturday Night Live manages to be as funny as it is. Occasionally, you'll have a standout host like Tom Hanks or Steve Martin who elevates the comedy to new heights. But then there are times, like in April 1991, when you might get a host like Steven Seagal, who is famously regarded as the worst host in the show's history according to Mental Floss. Indeed, Steven Seagal takes the last spot on the list after years of almost weekly episodes and a plethora of terrible hosts. In Tom Shale's book Live from New York, the complete, uncensored history of Saturday Night Live as told by its stars, writers, and guests, it is revealed that Seagal was extremely challenging to work with. He consistently rejected almost every idea the writers presented and insisted on only appearing in sketches that portrayed him as a tough and macho guy.